welcome to Abstract AF, Balaji Vittal. I really enjoyed reading your book, Pure Evil, The Bad Men of Bollywood, which came out on December 1st, 2021. It is so much more than just a look back at movie villains. It's a rich slice of Indian cinema that helps readers understand the socioeconomic conditions of each film era that movie is set in. And as I read the book, I kept wondering, how much time did it take for you to research and write it?
Okay, first of all, you can address me as Balaji because there is already a G out there.
Yeah.
See, the Harper Collins gave me this proposal sometime in many years ago, about 7-8 years ago, and more than that. And it sounded so exciting and so unique that I immediately said yes to it. But then there were already 2 other books I was doing for Harper Collins, which is in the floor, which was in production stage. So this took a little bit of a backseat, but I kept doing the research. So the book goes back many years, but I used it well. I thought well to sort of do some good amount of research. And finally, from 2015, that really got headlong into this project.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you come upon this title? I'm sure you had a lot of other titles in mind. So how did it come to Pure Evil?
Yeah, the original title was called A Few Bad Men, okay, which was a takeoff from A Few Good Men. But then A Few Bad Men wasn't really telling the whole story of what it is. Why a few? I mean, why not a lot? So then the marketing team of Harper Collins suggested this title, and I thought it sounded very catchy. Pure Evil. Evil and pure. That's a contradiction, right? So Pure Evil really hits you in the face. You know, the name tells you what exactly the story is about. No half measures. This is all about the bad people. Of course, there are shades of gray because that's how villainy has evolved. No one is completely black or no one is completely white. So I think it does justice to what is there in the pages.
Yeah, I think in the last section of the book, you talk about the anti-hero, where he's not exactly your out-and-out villain, but he's the anti-hero. Right. So So in an interview to a leading daily, you reveal how you signed up on multiple OTT channels and bought a lot of DVDs. So during the process of watching these films for your book, what were some of the titles that really stood out to you?
What stood out was the way the villainy had changed over the years. You know, and how many different types of villains are there, come to think of it, because we look at them under the overall villain umbrella. But there are so many nuances, so many categorizations, so many segmentations, so many, you know, finer shades to it, so many differences between very similar looking villains that it requires a very in-depth study. It just struck me that it has not been explored to this extent before. And I said, thank God I'm doing this, and thank Harper Collins for giving me the opportunity. That's what struck me. There's so many shades. Even within a corrupt politicians, there are so many shades. Ranging right from someone who's corrupt and influencing, you know, to use his influence to get things done, to a person who's actually running a business of drugs. Just to take an example. So unless you watch these movies and watch them with the idea of, you know, looking at the nuances, I don't think we'll ever get an idea of, you know, how many different flavors are there in the landscape of villainy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there are at least 1,000 movies that you mentioned in Pure Evil. You start off from talking about on-screen villains from works made in pre-independent India. Then you move on to the 70s, the 80s, then you even touch upon titles post the 2010. And there's so much information packed in there. You know, at one point, it felt like this could be a compulsory academic text for film students. So was that intentional? Did you mean it to be a book for those trying to gain some expertise on what you call the rogues gallery of Bollywood? Or did you just aim for a book meant for all kind of Bollywood fans?
Well, any book needs to be well researched. Because if someone is going to pay 400 rupees for buying the book, the least we can do is be honest to the buyer. Yeah. Someone has spent 400 rupees hard-earned money to buy this. A book needs to be well researched. That was my idea. Now, of course, whether it gets used for academic purposes or for entertainment or both, that depends on the reader. A person may say, look, you know, I'll read it just to get a flavor of the Bollywood villainy. That's fine. But someone will say, no, I want to do more research on this, and this is my start point. I want to use this as a good reference material for diving deeper into, you know, the many other aspects of cinema in India. That's fine. But from my side, I had to make sure, absolutely sure that my research was as strong and as honest as it could be, and that I put in as much of hard work and as much of investment into it from my side as I could. I had to be absolutely honest and truthful to my readers. That's what I try to do. Good that you asked the question. I just got a mail from National Film Archives of India saying that they have accepted Pure Evil and they're going to include in the library as a reference material.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if you start getting calls from film institute saying we want to include this as compulsory material for our students. It's great. It's like any reader can see, even like when I was just 20% through the book, I could see the incredible amount of research that went into the book. You've spoken to so many filmmakers, so many people connected to the industry. And in the book, you talk about how Bollywood filmmakers love to ape the West, at least initially when it was the 50s, 60s, 70s. And there's an anecdote of a big producer practically asking a director to simply copy paste a script for a film. And you sort of lament how our movies are known to be well researched. Why do you think that is? Have you ever talked to someone from the industry about, why, despite having such big budgets, why do our films not put in some effort on the research part of it?
I think that's historical. Maybe they're too rushed. Maybe, there's too much of angle on the commercial side of things. It's like an investment. They've got to make it work. Right.
Yeah.
These could be the reason, because they focus more on what will go down well with the audience and what the audience will pick up easily, the easily consumable stuff, or the one that appeal to shallower sensibilities. Like, this famous example of Amar Akbar Anthony. 3 young men giving blood, and suddenly all 3 goes like a municipal drain pipe and gets into one single pipe and goes inside the mother, who's, she's the mother of all the 3 boys, and she gets blood straight away from there. I don't know whether it's ever even possible, right? But there it is. See, you look at it, it's like, and the 3 boys are, one is a Hindu, Muslim, and a Christian, giving blood together to a mother.
Yeah.
Now, look at the emotions the audience is going to get charged with, right? Some of them are going to be weeping tears of joy. Audience is going to hug each other and say, "Yaar, we are friends, bhai bhai," and all that, right? Iske chalte, who's going to bother whether medically it stands up to any logic or not? Where is logic? When there is emotion, and which audience is going to pick up, why waste time on things like logic and research?
True enough. So I cannot help but ask a very obvious question. Who is your favorite on-screen villain, but from a post-2000 film, and why?
You mean actor or the characters?
Both, anything. Who in the recent, like in the last 10 years, a villain?
Manoj Bajpayee is one of my really hot favorite actors. Look at the way he essayed the role in Aks of Raghavan, or even a little bit earlier, Bhiku Matre in 98. Okay, or he plays the role in Fizza, the guy who's mentoring this particular young boy, wayward boy. He has fantastic. Or if you look at this film called Rajni, have any reference hitherto, and he created that role out of nowhere. He's brilliant. I love Manoj Bajpayee and the roles he plays. I'm also in awe of K.K. Menon. I think he's a fantastic actor, and some of the roles he has essayed is simply brilliant. Ankur Arora murder case. He plays Dr. Is superb. Boman Irani, the role of Virus that he played in 3 Idiots, or even the role that he played in Dawn. These actors have brought so much of reality into the villain characters. It is not that one big Mogambo, and I have nothing against Amrish Puri. I think he did brilliantly, but it belonged to a different time and a different era.
Yeah.
That was meant to look like a 10-headed Ravana, right? Whereas in these villains, it's not the physical form, the menace of the physical form that defines their villainy. It is their acting and how they have got into the character, how they have defined the characters. That's why I'm simply in awe of these new actors.
Okay. Now I have another question. You've obviously spoken to so many filmmakers, so many people in the industry, and you must have had so much material to write from. Is there any interesting little facts that didn't make it to the book?
They'll make it in the 2nd edition, hopefully. Yeah, see, there were a few anecdotes which didn't fit into the overall narrative of the book.
Like,
For example, when the entire gang of people were returning from Khote Sikke, you know, Khote Sikke was happening in Rajasthan, and some crates of liquor had been sent to the crew out there. But guess what? All these guys consumed alcohol in the flight itself, and what was left was only empty bottles by the time they reached in Rajasthan.
okay.
So, so these guys, gang of boys having fun all the way. So that was that, and then there was this story about a kleptomaniac actor while shooting of a particular film.
Okay.
They suddenly found a particular artifact missing in the shooting, where the shooting was taking place. Then it transpired that an actor had quietly sort of put it into his pocket and taken it away. Not with any malified intent. He was a bit of a kleptomaniac. And then he said, "Yeah, I have it. I'll give it back to you. Here it is."
Okay, that's honest. He could have just said, "Oh,
Absolutely,
I don't know."
that's honest. Yeah, no, he never meant any harm. He never meant to steal. He's not a thief. He's just a kleptomaniac. And some people are that way. So
Yeah.
those didn't fit into the story, right?
Yeah.
Because when you interview actors, of course, you get into very chatty conversation. Not all of that can fit into the story.
True.
But it was great bonding with all these actors. I think
Who did you have the most fun interviewing for the book?
All of them. I really can't differentiate. But and this is one thing I love. I met KK Menon at, I think, Raheja building in Lokhandwala. We were at the basement, not the basement, at the lobby. And this was at 9 p.m. in the night, and he was very punctual. Just 5 minutes here or there, he came in his gym clothes, or he had changed into a t-shirt and jeans, gym clothes, looking absolutely fit and fine, and and all that. I said, Balaji, let's talk. So where we were sitting down, there was a bit of noise. He said, let's go to the pool side. So I was standing by the pool and doing the interview. I was balancing my laptop on my arm, and I was holding the record in front of it. So it was interview done all standing up for most part of it. Good fun. So, and then I said, sir, it's almost 10:15. Are you going home? He said, no, I'm waiting for my van to come and pick me up. I'm going for a shoot. Because 70% of my shoots are in the night. I said, wow, here's a man who's burning midnight oil. No wonder his roles come out so well. He works so hard at his roles.
Okay. So I just have one last question for you. What do you think of all these mini series that are emerging on all the OTT platforms that have taken over? And do you think they're going to reshape the way we look at villains? Because these series give characters so much more space and time to grow on viewers.
I'll be very honest with you. I don't watch TV.
Okay.
Right? And by that extension, I don't watch the web series. I don't even watch it on laptop. See, when I watch a movie, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I've heard a lot about Family Man and Special Ops and all that, right?
Yeah.
And if someone tells me that Manoj Vajpayee has done a fantastic role, or he has let the character grow, he has fleshed out the character, or KK Menon Special Ops, I absolutely believe it, because I think they are wonderful actors. And I'm sure once you give them a role, they'll put their thought into it, they'll put their intellect into it, and they'll develop the role and take it to a different level altogether. But I guess I must watch them, because I'm big fans of these gentlemen. So I guess I'll have to make some time. And now that you're telling me, I think I must go back and watch it sometime.
Okay, I think Bollywood fanatics are absolutely going to love reading Pure Evil. And thank you so much, Balaji Vittal, for taking out your time and talking about your incredible books and movies.